What is going on, Jet fans? Matt O'Leary back with another video, and today I want to get into some ESPN Power rankings and talk about how I think they are dead wrong about the New York Jets in 2025. So after the NFL draft, ESPN released a power rankings that had the New York Jets as the 30th ranked team in the NFL. Look, guys, I'm not coming on here and going to say the Jets are going to win 11 games like I did a year ago. I was very high on the Jets. I thought they would finish between 10 and 12 wins, and I picked them to finish with 11, and that wasn't the case. They finished with 5, and they were frankly a really bad team. But if you look at the bottom 3 teams from a year ago, all those teams won 3 games. The Giants, the Titans, the Browns all finished with 3 wins. So am I going to go as far to say that the Jets are 2 wins worse than they were a year ago? That's where I'm having a really hard time. In this power rankings, the only 2 teams that were ranked worse than the New York Jets were the Titans and the Giants. Now, looking at some teams who are just in front of them, the Browns, the Saints, the Panthers are all ranked above the New York Jets, and I'm having a hard time with that. So this isn't me saying, oh, the Jets, they should be 10th on this list. No, they shouldn't, but 30th I think is pretty disrespectful. I don't think the Jets will be finishing with a top 3 pick in the NFL draft this year. Vegas set the line for them at 5.5 for their win total, and I think it's a touch low, but I think it's probably a fair line. If I personally was setting the over-under on the Jets win total, I would go at 6.5 because I think the Jets probably finish between 6 and 8 wins this year. That's my guess. So I'm not saying they're going to be a great team. I don't think they finish above 500 this year, as I just gave my projection between 6 and 8 wins, but I also don't think they're a 3 to 5 win bad team. Like, there's different levels of bad. 3 to 5 wins is pretty freaking rough. 6 to 8 is a little bit better depending on the circumstances, but like, the Jets won 5 games a year ago, and sure, you could say that there were some areas on the roster last year that were better, but are we not allowed to take into account just how bad the coaching staff was a year ago? Jeff Ulbrich, as interim head coach, was in way over his head. Way over his head. And then on the offensive side, you had guys like Nathaniel Hackett, Keith Carter, Todd Downing, audible god Aaron Rodgers checking out of every run. The offense was an absolute nightmare, and I get it. People like Roger, going from Rodgers, a big name like Rodgers, to Justin Fields is going to turn a lot of people off. But the drop off in play from Rodgers to Fields is not enough for me to go, they're going to lose 2 games on the win total when you also take into account some other things that they've done here with the roster and the coaching staff. With the New York Jets selecting Armand Membou in the first round, they have most agree they have a pretty good offensive line. From Olu Fashanu to John Simpson to Joe Tippmann to Elijah Vera-Tucker and Armand Membou from left to right. How many truly horrendous teams have a good offensive line? If the Jets have, we'll call it the 10th best offensive line in the league this year, which I don't think is incredibly unrealistic, especially after adding a talent like Membou in the NFL draft, that should be enough to get them to 7 or 8 wins. And yeah, you have some question marks about the quarterback and what is Justin Fields going to do. And it's a rookie coaching staff. I totally understand that. But I'm not at the point where I think this is just going to be an abject disaster tank season for the Jets. I guess a few months from now, we'll know the answer if the Jets are like 3-14 on the season. And I'll go, hand up, I'm wrong. ESPN was right about the New York Jets. And they're just truly, a disaster this season. But I don't buy that. Even if the coaching staff is just okay, they should win more than 5 games from a year ago. The defense, I think, will be improved with getting guys like Jermaine Johnson back. They added a bit in their secondary. I know that they're losing CJ Mosley, but some other guys like Hassan Reddick, who are net negatives out there, are no longer here. You had Javon Kinlaw, who was a net negative out there. Solomon Thomas, who wasn't very good. No more Chuck Clark starting. No more Tony Adams. DJ Reed in the second half of the year, it felt like the effort level wasn't quite there. Michael Carter missed most of the year last year. If they're just a little bit more healthy, have improved special teams, which they put a lot of effort into that in the NFL draft on the special teams, and are a serviceable offense that has an identity and is, one of the better rushing teams in the NFL, again, I don't see 3 or 4 wins in the Jets' future. I'm not going to sit here and say they're ending the playoff drought. They're winning 10 or 11 games. But can they get to 7 or 8? Can they be like the 20th best team in the NFL? That seems a little bit more likely to me than the Jets finishing with a top 3 pick. I guess we'll have to wait and see, but I'm not buying it. Let me know what you think down below in the comments. I'm Matt O'Leary. Subscribe if you're new, and I'll catch you next time.